I had gotten a girl pregnant. This is my ex-wife. She was pregnant at the time. Okay. So all this was going on at the same time. And so this frustration, and the reason I'm explaining this to you is because I want people to understand the mindset of, what might happen to young actors and the things that they're going through. We see it all the time with the suicide rate and with actors and what goes on. And I was friends with a lot of the actors that are not here anymore. And so just the process of the things that you deal with, right? So, button heads with this producer, says this thing. At the same time, my ex-wife is pregnant. We're dating at this time. And also, too, as I'm going through all of this at the same time and dealing with this whole process, I'm upset about it. I called my pops, and I'm just like, when that happened with the producer, I'm upset. And he was just like, hey, yo, did he disrespect you as a man? How do you feel? The man I am today, I should have told my dad, yeah, come on out, because he said, yo, I want to come out, be there with you. But I said, no, it's all good. I handle it. It's all good. And what I did was I just said, you know what? All right, I'm going to just do my job, and I'm going to do the best at what I can do. But as far as everybody else, you know what I mean? It's just me right now, and I'm just going to make this show happen the way that I do. And because at that point, it was a thing of I ended up going from here to here, being a kid, and then now being an adult. My mom was my manager at that time. And with my mom being my manager at the time, I didn't want to tell her I got a girl pregnant. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So if it was someone that was a manager, and I could have just told him.
Could have easily handled it.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell him at that time. Yeah. So it was like, oh shoot, I can't tell him this. You know what I mean? And so I'm dealing with that because I'm dealing with that the whole time. She's barely starting to show. We trying to hide it, right? Type of thing.
She's just eating a little more than what she should.
Yeah, right, and I'm having this frustration, with this writer as well too, and that's going on. And then I remember she was just like, "Yo, I want to have an abortion," right? And dealing with that too as well, with no one knowing. So no one knowing we're doing that, and I'm still. Hey, welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Doing all these shows, making people laugh and all these different things because I've been on, Good Morning America, all these different, interviews and shows and telling people about suicidal thoughts and emotions that you might go through. And I never really pinpointed who the person was or who it is, or the things that were going on. And this is what is going on. So that's from sharing it with you. Right. And so within that process of going on with that, it's an emotional roller coaster that was going on at that point. And so that happens. And then what I end up doing right after that, ended up getting her pregnant again, throughout that process, even after we had the abortion. And then ended up getting married, right, as well. And so while that's going on with Nickelodeon, I'm sort of like about to be on my way out. I became this, I don't want to say, what's the word? It's more of like one lady ended up saying it like this, where she called me the Tupac of Nickelodeon. You know what I mean? So one of the people that we work with, I wouldn't say that, but this was what's said about me. And so because of the point where I just was kind of like, hey man, this is going to be my show now. I'm going to do it this way. Right. And I didn't agree, and I didn't tell anybody what that, producer had said to me at that time and what was going on. And what was said. And even what I was going through personally within my life, what I was going through, I wasn't sharing that with anybody. Right. And that's a lot of a problem when you isolate that. And within that process, you can go through a lot. You know what I mean? And holding all that frustration inside, right? But I still was able to have an outlet through the show. Through the show and doing that process. And I remember Mystery Man had came along, where was this movie called Mystery Man I did with Ben Stiller and Janine Garofalo. And so to me, it was like, well, I'm on my way out of Nickelodeon. It's all good. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a lot of people talk about, Kenan and I, as far as like the split between the Kenan and Kel show. This is where it started. And I think that even Kenan didn't really know either what was going on, because I didn't share what was going on with me and the head writer of the show when that happened, and what was going on, and I didn't trust anybody at that moment either. Yeah.
You speak about these thoughts that you were having, and I think it was around 2004. That you said that you was at your lowest, and you contemplated taking your own life. You didn't talk. You didn't have a therapist. You didn't have anybody that you felt comfortable enough with to go sit down and have a conversation with, even if it's not a therapist, maybe a pastor, maybe a closest friend. You held that, you bottled that up inside and dealt with it on your own.
So this is what I mean about the understanding the timeline. Okay, so because that's a big speed up. You know what I mean? So the start of that, from where the suicide is where I was just talking about. So there was a start of that, which was, like I said, 99, 98, 99, you know what I mean? Around that time. And so when that was going on, all this process and me not sharing what was happening and holding all of that and dealing with that, that's what led to that part.
Okay.
So in the beginning of that, with me holding all that information, then Mystery Man came along, you know, that show. And I remember I'm out at Nickelodeon. I'm like, I'm all good. And I remember the head writer, who's Dan Schneider, that's who I was talking about, who wrote on the show at that time. He was also doing a movie. I believe it was Liar Liar. With Jim
Carrey.
With Amanda. Not Liar Liar. It was... oh man, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It wasn't Liar Liar, but it was Amanda Bynes was supposed to was in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was about a kid that lies and all this stuff like that. But they wanted me to actually be in that movie at first, you know, and I was like, yo, we should put Keenan in it. That would be dope to put Keenan in it, and we both do that because we had a 3-picture deal at Paramount when we were doing that. But they decided that you know, they didn't do the other movies. We just did Good Burger. But I was doing Mystery Man, so they were like, yo, you should be on that. And I was like, oh yeah, but let's put Keenan in. They were like, nah, I think this should just be with you. And I'm like, no, but I feel like, you know, we got the show, let's do it. And also too, the writer is the same writer I had fallen out with. You know what I mean? That's in the room. And so I'm just like, you know what I mean? I don't want to do that.
Right.
And I remember I left out of the room, and you know, all these producers excited about doing this movie.
Right.
And I remember I left out of that room, that situation, and then I saw Keenan, and then I saw Nick, and they were like, yeah, we heard about that meeting. They just started laughing.
Right.
And for me, I felt like, yo, y'all was in there fighting for you. You know what I mean? And that kind of hurt at that moment. Thing about me was that relationship is very important, and you need to let people know how you feel. At that time, really wasn't doing that.
Right.
There was a trust thing. You know what I mean? I had already been through death, you know, within my family in Chicago, and all these things were going on. At this point, both of my uncles was murdered. I had a friend that was murdered that we talked about. All this happened around the same time. And so there wasn't any, I wasn't seeing any therapist or anything of that nature. I was just working constantly with working on the show, and within doing that. And then at that time too, I ended up marrying my ex-wife, you know, because we had another baby. We had the baby, right? We had the abortion, but then we had a baby. And she ended up telling me that the baby that was aborted wasn't mine. And so within that process, you are immediately married within a lie already.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So the marriage was never the same after that, was it?
No, it was. This is at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? This is right at the beginning. And so within that process,
she probably should have kept that to herself.
And well, you know, I'm glad she didn't. And so within that process, with that being known, it was just like, yo, and now I'm on TV. All this, I'm still on TV. All this thing, and I don't have time to really process that. And she almost, you know, with even in being, you know, the pregnancy. She almost died within the pregnancy, so that was a hard time too.
Right.
And I remember some of the writers coming to the set, to the hospital, and they were like bringing presents, and I'm thinking like, oh yeah, cool, thank you. And then they were like, yo, when can you be back on set? And it was just
you see what I'm dealing with?
Yeah, we'll see what I'm dealing with. But you know, no shout out to, you know, no shade to them. They were doing what they were told as far as a job to see if Kel can be back on set. And I was the one that, you know, ended up getting someone pregnant, you know, around that time. But I'm just setting up so you understand what was really going on when we get to 2004. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In that process. So and now knowing that this, you know, the kid is mine, and then now leaving the show, you know, on Nickelodeon. And then I had Mystery Man, this big show, and I'm thinking like, oh yeah, that's gonna be it. You know what I mean? And learning within that process too, where it was like, hey, well, no, I don't want to renew on all that Keenan and Kel. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And I already know what's going on as far as what's happening within this realm of what's going on with the show behind the scenes and what's going on with me. And I was just like, yo, I'm ready to leave anyway. And then Mystery Man didn't do as well as we thought it was going to. You know what I mean? As we thought it was going to do within that process. And then just navigating through that, now being a father. And here's the thing about it is that the reason I didn't have anybody to relate to, because I was the first one out of the entire cast to be married, to have a house, have kids. And Keenan, Nick, none of them could relate to that. They were still being kids. And also, too, there was this process of, I got it all together. I already know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And that's what I was doing. You know what I mean? To me, it was like, I can handle this. I can handle this. No.
You couldn't.
No, you can't handle this within the Star Power because you're really going through something that is really deep, and you need to let people know and let people know how you feel and let people know what's on your heart, what's really going on. But I kept it in and was like, I can handle this. Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of some of the kids, actors and actresses that you around. Life had gotten so overbearing that they didn't feel they could go on.
Yeah.
You mentioned Amanda Bynes, and you see her in conservatorship, and you see her dealing with her issues. How difficult is that for you, knowing what you went through and seeing her go through something very similar?
It's deep. I mean, when I was at the Sun Hotel in Canada, where I was going to end my life at that moment, on the other side of a balcony, Amanda was there. Amanda was shooting a show, a movie where she played a guy, that movie. And Keenan was in town too as well. We hadn't talked in a while. He was doing Snakes on the Plane.
Okay.
And no one knew that I was going through with my ex. You know, we had very toxic relationship. You know what I mean? As you can imagine from the start of it all. You know what I mean?
It's hard to reveal something after a lie.
Yeah, bro.
If it was founded on a lie, it's going to fall eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And it went from bad to worse, you know, with the things that were being revealed, you know. And it was a lot, you know. It was other times. She had gotten pregnant, other things, and it just got to a point.
She had gotten pregnant again?
Yeah.
While y'all were together?
Yeah.
And it wasn't you?
No, with me.
Ah, come on, Kel.
It wasn't me. It wasn't.
And you stuck around?
Yeah, I stuck around. But here's the thing. These were things that were being revealed. You know.
She telling you this?
No.
How did you find this out? I want to know how you found this out. You read a letter. You got to it through the phone.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So how that one went? There was a thing where we weren't having sex anymore. And we weren't doing anything anymore. Because
you weren't having sex. Clearly she was.
Yeah, it's just because of I knew what was going on.
Right.
And I was like, yo, what is even happening? You're not coming home. You're not doing all these different things.
And y'all mad she not coming home.
Yeah. But then this was, you know, back then.
Yeah.
We praying for her now. It's all good.
Yeah.
But this is the process of what I was going through.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so now as this is going on, there was a time, get some more soda.
Now I need something stronger than soda, Kel. You telling me that right here.
Go ahead, brother.
I mean, you had one, you aborted that, but that wasn't yours. She told you didn't know you had one of your own, and
Yeah, well, yeah. There was a situation where there was a guy, you know, and I had a feeling, you know what I mean, that she was
Did you know him?
Talking to somebody. It was one of her friends that used to come over, right? And, you know, I was working a lot, you know what I mean? So it was one of those situations. And so I was dropping off the kids, you know, and, you know, didn't go to work, and you know how I go. And so one day I decided where I was like, yeah, I'm going to take the car and just kind of like go searching where she might be, because she ain't come home. And so I got in the whip, went driving around, saw her whip, looked different, you know, and I saw it, and I said at the hotel, I was like, yo, okay, there's a car at the hotel. I go to the lobby, you know what I mean, to go walk into the lobby. Turns out dude just come walking down the lobby about to go to the car, you know, my car, and then she was driving, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, okay, what's up? Take me upstairs. Let's go to the elevator, let's go together. You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? And we go up, we don't need to fight, let's go.
Yeah.
Because I already know what it is.
Right.
So we go up. Of course, she's surprised. Oh, you know, within the room. And, you know, we walk in. You know, I walk in there and I'm just like, hey, okay, so this is what's going on. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? All right, and this is what you're doing. Okay, so, and I walk out because I'm not about to fight over someone that.
She already made a decision.
Yeah, you made your decision. You already we'd been through it.
Did she like come out and let me explain?
Yeah.
What did that explain? Offer without explanation.
Explain. I'll go to the car. After I went to the car, then there was this. I was like, yo, I need to go back. And I went back because now I was like, well, I felt disrespected, so now I need to go do something. I'm going back, so then I'm going back up there. Cops came, everybody came up at that point. And I remember this cop told me, he said, hey, yo, I seen this type of woman, this situation. You need to get out of this situation. You know what I mean? Need to get out of this situation. Like, you know, like a goofy, still stayed around. You know what I mean? We said we was trying to make it work for the kids. You know what I mean? Trying to make it work for the kids. But it just wasn't working out. You know what I mean? Trying to make it work. And she ended up getting pregnant by another guy. Now, how that situation happened was that I was at the hospital. She had a sickle cell trait. So she ended up, you know, I'm thinking it's that. We go in there and the doctor comes in and says, yeah, so you lost the baby. And I was just like, hey, yo, what? You lost the baby? And I'm like, oh, I know that's not mine. And so I lost the baby and I'm like, okay, so she was pregnant at that time. And this was just like, what was going on? You know what I mean? Within the relationship. That was rough, but then it's also doing movies, doing TV shows, doing all these things as this is going on, not really telling anybody anything. Right. I wasn't telling my parents, telling my family what was going on. Right. You know, so now all these situations are happening, and I get to the point where I'm at, 2004 up there. And the thing about it is that I would drink, to get out of such, emotional, all of this mind, because it was just kind of like, making people laugh and doing all these things. But then also this is going on too as well. You know what I mean? And so I got to the point where I'm about to do this. And the reason I did that was because I went to Canada to do this movie, and we had the relationship was just toxic at that point. So now I'm here and I get a phone call, and she's this guy, that she wants to be with. And I was just like, okay, yeah, y'all need to be together. You know what I mean? Like, let's do this. But then I'm also dealing with the embarrassment of all of this situation. What's going on? I don't want people to know what I'm going through, all this situation. And I just felt like at that point it needs to be a reset button. Just because I looked at my parents and how beautiful their relationship was, and how this relationship was not being that at all, and how what I thought marriage would be wasn't that at all. And then even just the navigation of this industry as well, and what was going on. And I just wanted to hit an off button at that point, and I felt like that was the answer. Right. I tell people, I heard something tell me, hey, yo, Kel, get into a room, lock the door, and get off this balcony. I know that was God now, but at that time, I said it was a person, but I know it was God that told me to do that. And I did that and went and did work, and then from that, changing my life around, where it's to the point where now it's like really living life for me and understanding that,
Kel, even though I'm listening to you talk, and it's a very traumatic experience, and I'm sorry that you had to experience that. But it seems to me, no matter how chaotic it was in your personal life, it was the acting that kept you going.
Well, I would say this, because even with the process of me and Keenan, he kind of just, and I don't think he knows that we did have a conversation about this, but he didn't know any of this either. He didn't know all these things were going on in my life until recently when I was able to talk to him about it. And the thing about it is that on that side of work, when it was a thing of, my talent being stolen by, this writer, this yelling by this writer, all these different things, the process of that and work and all how that was, and navigating that, he was also managed by the same company that the writer was in. And so within that, it was just like, oh, y'all all together. So I couldn't trust anybody. And where I was from, with having people, die within my life that were in Chicago, I'm going through turmoil in a toxic relationship, and then I'm also having problems within the workplace as well. That was a gumbo of just like, yo, you know what I mean, of what was going on. And that's when I talk about, like, with Robin Williams, when I was saying, like, you know, smiling through everything and making other people laugh.
Yes.
You never know what somebody else might be going through at that time. And Keenan was going through his own process as well and things that he was going through, but we both weren't sharing.
Right.
And this is what I talk about with relationship and letting people know what's on your heart. And letting people know what you might be dealing with, because if you don't let people know,
they don't know,
and you just deal with that's a great place for the devil to just play with you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Within that process, and I had to really understand that. You know what I mean? And so, even with Amanda, I understood, you know, what she was going through. Everybody has their own journey of what they're going through in life. Everybody's journey is different, and this is my journey and process of it.
This first wife situation is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I read that obviously it was a rough divorce.
Yeah.
But she claimed that she went to jail for an IRS debt that you acquired.
Yeah.
The judge denied that. Liens were placed on your bank accounts and your assets. Why would she go to such? It's hard for you to speak to someone else why someone would do something.
Yeah.
But in your best guess estimation, why do you feel that she went to the lengths that she was willing to go to try to destroy the person?
How can I explain this? So, as we talked about the spiritual side of things, there was a deep things that she's going through within her life, you know, that I know she needs help with.
Okay.
And there's things that are being revealed now, even throughout her process of life, but things that I've already known. You know what I mean? And I wanted her to get help throughout her entire process, but she did not want to do that. You know, she didn't want to do that. And so when the divorce happened, you think, like, you know, co-parenting, people do it. Relationships, people do this. It works when there is a person where both people are taking the emotions out of it, and that's what it is. In this situation, that's what it wasn't what it was. It was a thing of, she said, hey, I'm going to make your life a living hell. I don't want you need to stay. That was the thing. And after, even through the process of everything that we had gone through.
And she still wanted you to stay?
Yeah, because the thing of it is that the guy she was seeing at the time, she didn't want to be with him at that time, you know, but she was pregnant by him, and I'm like, this is who you need to be with. Let's make that clear. And he wanted to be with her, you know, and their family knew that they were together too, which was another thing from a loyal side of things, was like, yo. And so, but in that process, they wanted me to all stay. You know what I mean? They wanted me to stay within that, and I'm just like, no, let's just co-parent. We could do that.
Right.
She took me through it as far as like, okay, no, that's not what I want to do. Within that process, she went so far as to change the kids' names. She alienated me from my children. And so the thing of it is that I talk to fathers a lot about this process, because, we have baby fathers and that don't want to be there, but I definitely wanted to be in my children's life, right? My two oldest children, Lyric and Allure, right? And the thing about it within that process, where when that was taken away to a thing where I'm going to court, right? And I'm fighting to see my children, meaning that let's finish this divorce. She didn't want the divorce to end. So in her mind, it's just like, oh, well, no, I'm going to make this go on as long as possible. Right. And also, I'm going to make you continue to pay this and that. And, you know, now, jobs ain't
steady, right.
It is. But I'm hustling my butt off to try to pay, and I'm paying and doing all those different things. But I'm going to court and she's not showing up. And she's changing the kids' names. And I'm trying to go find out where they're at. You know what I mean? And I can't go. I'm trying to go to the house and like, yo, what's going on? And she called the cops because I want to see the kids and he tried to break in. Her dude's going along with it. And I'm just like, okay, so I'm not going to do that no more. Let's do this the legal way.
Right.
And now you go into court, and the house was already in foreclosure already. It was already upside down because I was allowing her, another thing I was doing, was allowing her to deal with all the money. So I would just use, you know, do the creative side of things, and I would work, here's the money. Everything started to be revealed to me after the divorce, where it's like, oh, money here, there, where the money was going, why we were ended up being where there was no money anymore, my name being signed on different things, my name forged on different things. Everything was being revealed to a point where it was very shocking. And now I'm trying to rebuild my career as well while this is going on.
Right.
The house process was that now the house needed to be sold. The house was in my name, always still in my name. Her credit debt was crazy already. She had a past that I didn't know about that was a criminal past already and that I didn't know about. So it was just like all these things were being revealed. And I'm not doing this because I didn't know you was going to ask that question. So I'm not doing this to bash her because I feel like we need to pray for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I still continue to pray for her. And I have 2 beautiful children that came out of the
she brought
process.
the kids into it.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
TikTok, I mean, they were talking about you didn't pay and they were homeless and you were dead. I mean, when your kids, I mean, obviously, an adult doing that.
Yeah.
But when the kids, your flesh and blood, and you're doing all you can.
Yeah.
That had to hurt, Kel.
Well, you're talking about years of a process, and yes, it definitely did hurt. You know what I mean? And now you understand the hurt I was going through, why I was just like, man, I don't want to live, the drinking, all those different things. And my process to find myself within the Lord. And then going into court, it's nothing like, and I call it faithful fathers. Because there's nothing like to be there and then not show up. All these attorney fees that I had to pay. She's not there. She changed the kid's name to the father's name. The baby that was born through all that process. She tried to put that baby's name, my name on that baby's name.
So she take your biological kid's name away, but we'll take the kid that's not yours.
Well, these things happen in different orders. That happened first, and then this happened. And throughout that process of me going to court, what ended up happening was the truth ended up being revealed anyway. Through all of this, it was the consistency of love. And the consistency of me is showing up for my kids and letting them know I'm going to fight for them. And I continuously fought for them within court. Continuously fighting. Even though she would end up going to jail, all these different things, even in that process. What she did was she ended up forging the name of the judge, forging the name of, she did some house things that were really, really wrong. She did real estate fraud to try to keep the house, all these different things. And so now social media is out. And the thing is that for years I was dealing with this. For years. In and out of court and all the shenanigans that were going on and fighting to see my kids and all these different things. And getting breakthroughs through it all. Then I get on television. I get on Dance with the Stars and all these different things. And she's like, I'm going to go to the media. I'm going to the media. And that's what literally happened. Whereas that now I'm going to spread lies and all these different things and spread all these different lies. And one thing that I did know is that you don't argue crazy. And the thing also, too, is that when you're going against a monster, so I'm not calling her a monster, but someone that's doing monster type of tactics, you got to make sure you don't become a monster throughout the process.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, and I also want to be the father to my children and not embarrass them.
Right.
And the thing is that I have so much information that I could be like, oh yeah, let me turn on the camera and say these different things about you and what the process of what you're going to. But that's not what you should do. Right. The thing is that I want to love my children and let them know the consistency of their father's love and that I'm fighting for them. And throughout the whole entire process. And I even did the video to let them know that I was fighting for them years ago that had already been up. And so when all this drama started and all those things started, people started digging. And the thing about it is that people find the truth. You know what I mean? And they saw the court process. And the thing about it is that people started to see like, well, all these allegations, Kel hasn't been in jail. He hasn't never been in jail with IRS fraud. He hasn't been in jail with child support. The thing about it is that I overpaid her. You know what I mean? I was paying out of my own pocket and also paying child support and being garnished at the same time. All these different things. But I never wanted to embarrass her. You know, even though she was trying to embarrass me because I was thinking about my children.
Want to join Club Shay Shay? Become an official member by hitting that subscribe button, where you never know who's going to be joining us for drinks and conversation. Don't be late to the party because you know We like to do something before to something.